Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the latest episode of the All Things Liverpool podcast. It's me again, Anish Dogra, and like every other show we've been doing the last couple of weeks, I'll be guiding you through all the news that's happened over the last 7 to 10 days with Liverpool. So there's lots of good stuff to talk about. We've got Mo Salah's 100th Premier League goal, Harvey Elliott's injury, very unfortunate with that. The Leeds win, the AC Milan win, Henderson channeling his inner Gerrard in that match, and just in general, loads of good stuff to talk about. So let's get right into it. And from where we left off last week, we talked about the Leeds game and how that could have been a really tough game for us. But in reality, it was an absolute walk in the park. We absolutely dominated them from like the 10th minute onward. I'm not going to say we completely outplayed them from minute one. They did start very well, and it started in a way where I expected them to, on the front foot, aggressive, with that raucous crowd behind them. Yeah, I fully expected them to play the way they did, but the quality and the experience that we have and the midfield that we chose that day was absolutely on point. They rode the storm very, very well, and they just showed their class. They showed their quality, and in the end, it was just a comfortable win. So, other than that one shot, I think Rodrigo had, in the fifth or 10th minute, we absolutely controlled the game. I thought Thiago was fantastic in that midfield. He absolutely controlled the tempo. When things needed to be slowed down, they slowed down. When things needed to be speed up, they were quickened as well. And then on the 20th minute mark, we got the goal we thoroughly deserved. I think we had a couple of good chances, but before then, I think Jota had a decent chance, and Mane had more than one decent chance. We'll get onto him in a minute. But again, Salah, the provider, as he always is, and he has been on 99 other occasions in the Premier League. What an absolutely standing player. I think we're all running out of words to describe, the talent and the quality that he possesses. Whether it's close range finishes, long range finishes, left foot, right foot, penalties. He's got it all. And 100 Premier League goals in 161 games. I think fifth quickest in Premier League history, and for a winger as well, it's so impressive. And without him, we would never have won the Champions League, never have won the Premier League, not even be in the Champions League this year. His goals last year pretty much got us into the European places. So he's been an absolute pleasure for Liverpool, and he's been a joy to watch over the last 4 years. But hopefully he signs that contract, because it's an absolute imperative decision that he gets a new deal. Like I said, the goals he scored, the importance of the goals as well that he's contributed to over the last 4 years, they cannot be underestimated, and they're so valued. So for him to not sign that deal yet, it's becoming a little bit more worrying. If I'm being totally honest, I think talks have been going on for a couple of months now. I think before even the season started. And it all seemed, it was going to be a formality. He was going to sign a new deal. He'd get a big pay rise, but things have still not been sorted out yet. And whether the rumors are true or not, apparently he wants 400 grand a week or 500 grand a week. We obviously don't know that. We're not sure how true that is. But if it is true, then you can see why a deal's not been agreed yet. And whilst I think all Liverpool fans would want him to sign a new deal, and I wanted to sign a new deal, we have to make a decision fast, because he's under two years now, and we don't want to be in a position next year where we're still negotiating contracts. So either, for me personally, if he hasn't signed by January, I think we should set him on, even though he'll only have a year left in his contract. And I do not want to see him go. He's absolutely world class, but we can't lose him for free. He's far too valuable to be letting go for nothing. We've lost players in the past before. Emre Can we lost for free. Daniel Sturridge, Alberto Moreno, a couple of players like that. And whilst it was annoying not to get any money for those players, it wasn't so much of a blow. And then losing Gini Wijnaldum last year, or this summer, in fact, that was a massive blow. to lose a player of that caliber, and then secondly to lose him for nothing. So the Mo Salah situation has to be sorted out ASAP. And if a contract cannot be signed between the two parties, we should try and send them on as soon as possible. And then with that money, we can obviously reinvest it with so many good talented players across Europe. Jude Bellingham, I mentioned him in the show last week. Of course, not the same player, but an outstanding talent. Erling Haaland, of course, has his release clause coming into effect in the next transfer window, and of course Kylian Mbappe being on a free. We all know he's going to go to Real Madrid, but you never know with the extra funds that Liverpool could receive from getting Salah, they could potentially afford that Mbappe deal with the money they'll get. So Salah, brilliant player, deserves a new contract. Hopefully we'll get a new contract, and we'll just have to wait and see. And then in that Leeds game, of course, we had the horrific injury to Harvey Elliott as an absolutely devastating blow to lose him to a long-term injury. It was so unlucky. He was literally 10 seconds away from being substituted. Henderson was there on the touchline, and you can see the reaction he had when Elliott had that unfortunate blow. He was absolutely devastated. You saw the reaction from the bench. Mo Salah was absolutely devastated when Elliott hurt his ankle. So we all wish him the greatest luck in recovering. Hopefully he'll be back, stronger and fitter than ever. And whilst it's an absolutely devastating moment for the young man, it's not the end of the world, thankfully. It's I think a 4-month injury, so he'll be back. What are we in September? He should be back by the turn of the year, hopefully by February. So he will play again this season, which is really good news. And injuries are part and parcel of the game. They can happen to anyone. They can happen to at any time. So for him to have this injury right now, given and because he's only 18 or 19 years old, he'll have a whole career ahead of him. So to miss 3 or 4 months now, it's not the end of the world. He'll be back. He'll be fit. He'll be stronger. He'll be a much better player when he comes back, and we all look forward to seeing him. And then in terms of the red card on that injury, on Harvey Elliott, I actually do think it was really harsh. Like he plays the ball. Like if you see the clip again, he gets the man and he gets the ball, absolutely cleanly, and it's just a freak accident. So of course at the time, in terms of Premier League rules, sending the player off because he endangered the player. Sure, I think you can. I think that you can agree with that. But for his red card to have stood, and now he'll miss the next 3 games, I do think it's very unfair on Struck. So yeah, in my opinion, it should have been rescinded. It wasn't fair on the player, and you saw with Harvey Elliott's reaction on Instagram and on Twitter, he was full of support for his counterpart. So it shows the quality, the humility he has, and and the great sportsmanship he possesses within him. So all in all, yeah, it was a wrong call to keep the 3-match ban. And then in general, the Leeds game, very, very impressive. So Salah got his 100th goal. I can't remember who scored the second. Fabinho scored the second. Scrappy goal, but whatever, we'll take it. And Mane having 10 shots in that match. In fact, he had more shots than the Leeds team had until finally got his goal in the end. I was so happy for him. He's had a bit of a strange start to the season. In terms of numbers, it's been a pretty good return. I think he's on 2 goals and an assist in his opening 4 matches. So a very, very good return in terms of numbers. But you can see with his finishing, it's a bit all over the place right now. But the most important thing is that he's getting in those positions. He's taking chance after chance after chance, and eventually he's gonna find that form again. He's got so much quality. It's just a matter of time before he doesn't take 10 shots to score 1 goal. Maybe if he takes 10 shots again in this game, he might get 3 or 4 goals. You never know. So I was really happy that he got his goal, and overall thoroughly impressed with the win. And then that moves us on to the midweek games of the Champions League. It was an absolute joy to have the best competition in the world back, in my opinion. There was so much quality on show all across Europe. So many great stories and surprises. Sheriff Tipperell. I can't remember what nation they're from, but the first team in that country's history to win to win a Champions League game. A brilliant story. Kylian Mbappe, Lionel Messi, Neymar, and co being held by former Liverpool goalkeeper Salman Mignolet and Club Bruges. That was absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous how PSG didn't win that game with the caliber they have on the pitch. And I think I remember watching a clip in that game. Messi, by his standard, missing a sitter. I think he was about 10 or 15 yards out from goal, and he put it into Rosette. So that was quite an amusing moment. PSG will still win the group or qualify at least. So it was just a nice moment to see them drop points even after all the money they spend in the summer. And then their group rival Manchester City. What a brilliant game they had against RB Leipzig. 6 goals, conceding 3 goals, but who cares at this stage, right? It's all about just having fun, playing, and scoring and doing as well as he possibly can. Jack Grealish, the £100 million man, really settling in now in Manchester. The goal he scored was absolutely world class, and I think now he's starting to settle in with that price tag, and he's now showing that form that saw him warrant the move to the Etihad. João Cancelo scoring a really good goal in that game as well. And for the Leipzig team, they might have lost 6-3, but in Nkunku, he'll have a day. He'll never forget that game. Getting a hat trick against Manchester City. So overall, a great game, that one, and another good result for one of the English teams. Chelsea getting off to a good start as well. Romelu Lukaku, I mean, the guy is a machine. He's literally unplayable right now. And today I was doing a report on Talksport, and Martin Keown was talking about how to stop Lukaku and the lessons that he gave about how to deal with a player like him, about trying to get into his ear, get into his head, telling him he's overrated or something like that, and being aggressive towards him on the pitch, in a fair way. But even then, having those that bit of advice, he's still such a good player right now. And as long as he stays fit and he stays on form, Chelsea will go a long way in winning the Premier League and retaining the Champions League. So again, a really good start for them. And I thought Zenit didn't do too bad, in fact, against Chelsea. Like with so many teams around Europe, they're well organized. They're well organized. They're tough to beat, but sometimes they're missing that killer instinct. And I think there was one moment they played their way through the Chelsea team really well. And I can't remember the 2 players who were involved, but one guy put it across from the right, and I think the striker in the middle, he got his foot onto it, but he couldn't just make the proper contact to see the ball nestle into the back of the net. So they didn't do too bad, and I think Chelsea are in the same group with Juventus as well. Again, they got off to a very strong start, very comfortable start. Post Ronaldo, the post Ronaldo era. Alvaro Morata, the former Chelsea striker, stepping up to fill Ronaldo's shoes. He scored a very good goal. Alexandro was on target as well. So a strong start for them, even though they've not had the best of starts in La Liga so far. I think they've only taken 1 point from their first 3 games, but that was a big win for them and a morale boosting victory. And Ronaldo now back at Manchester United, he did not have a great evening, let's say. And I say that with a big smile on my face, being a Liverpool fan. So they got off to a great start. Thoroughly deserved to take the lead. Bruno Fernandes, what a ball by him! Outside of the foot from the left flank. Ronaldo, it wasn't his greatest finish, but the most difficult thing for a striker is getting in that position. And we saw again, like with Mane, he got into those positions every single time, and he eventually got his goal. Ronaldo, obviously the player he is, he timed his run to perfection. And if you give a man that much space, he's gonna punish you. So a great goal for him, a great goal for Manchester United. But that's as good as it got, really. And that Aaron Wan-Bissaka sending off, I'm not too sure if that was the right or wrong decision. Still looking back on it, I think he obviously catches a player and he could have endangered him. But when you look at it in real time, it never looks as bad. So might be the right call. Might be a bit of a harsh call. But at the end of the day, the decision stood, and United were made to pay for it later on. So the equaliser really poor goal to concede. Rafa Varane, the one player you would have thought who would have improved Manchester United defensively, being at fault for the goal. It was he was beaten by the striker at the near post, and it was a very good finish from the forward. And then in the end, Jesse Lingard coming on for Ronaldo and producing an absolute howler. It's just a moment it's just a poor moment for the guy. It's happened to so many players in the past. Steven Gerrard did it on so many occasions against Chelsea. So it can happen to anyone. It's just a moment of it's just pure unluckiness for the guy, and but it's still a very, very funny moment and a very happy moment for all non-Man United fans. So I feel sorry for the guy, especially after the comeback he's made. Hopefully that won't knock his confidence too much, and he'll still do good things for himself and for England. But even still, in terms of the match tactically, I think it's showing that Ole is out of his depth. Like, if you can compare that game, they were 1-0 up, they were down to 10 men. Okay, being down to 10 men, not great, but you can still see it out. And then when you compare him to Thomas Tuchel, who came to Anfield, a full Anfield with a brilliant atmosphere against the champions of 2 years ago, and for a whole second half, he saw that game out. It was an absolute defensive masterclass from Thomas Tuchel, and it shows the contrast of how good of a manager he is compared to Ole, who I think we all know is just completely out of his depth. The team he's assembled now over the last few years, and don't get me wrong, he has taken United forward. Like, we can all see that progression has been made. Last season was the first time they secured back-to-back top four finishes since Sir Alex, but he's simply not the man to take United to the Premier League or the Champions League. Tuchel, again, going back to that point at Anfield, taking a draw against the entire rival, being down 10 men for a whole half, it shows the nous and the experience he has as a manager. Whereas Ole, he's never managed in any top job before. He was at Molde, he was at Cardiff, and he didn't. Okay, he won the league in Norway, but that's not really a great achievement in my opinion. And then at Cardiff, he failed to keep them up in the Premier League. So they got relegated under his guide. So for me, he's not the man for Manchester United. But again, I hope he stays there, because as long as they've got Ole, they will never truly be a successful team. Touch wood. I just can't see them ever challenging Manchester City or Chelsea or us for major honours. And hopefully Ole's at the wheel and he keeps that job for as long as possible. And then in other Champions League news, so Barcelona as well, they're in an absolute state, to put that kindly. I just can't get over, I can't get my head around what's gone on there. 4 or 5 years ago, they were probably the best team in the world to watch. Iniesta, Xavi, and Busquets in that midfield, absolute maestros. Luis Suarez up top, brilliant. Neymar on the left, Messi on the right, incredible. And then that defense was so strong still. Jordi Alba was very good. Dani Alves was still one of the best right backs in the world. Gerard Piqué was very, very good. Samuel Umtiti, he was actually a fantastic defender for Barcelona. He started, I think, for all of France's Euro 2016 games. I think he was Varane's partner as well in the World Cup in 2018. So for some reason they literally threw him away and preferred to start Clement Lenglet instead. And for me, that's not been the right call. And then now you look at this Barcelona team. It's nothing that resembles over the last 10 to 15 years. The 4-3-3. The brilliant, quick, incisive passing under Guardiola and then under Luis Enrique. They're an absolute shadow from where they were. And again, another manager who is out of his depth. Ronald Koeman, he's not the man for the job. For starters, they've got away from 4-3-3, and sure, you can tweak a formation, you can make changes around, but when you've established that kind of platform for pretty much your entire career, like Barca have been known for 4-3-3. They pretty much, I wouldn't say they invented it, but it's been in their DNA for as long as I can remember. And now they're playing a 3-back, with Gerard Piqué in defense. Eric Garcia is in that team now. He came from Manchester City in the summer. and I think they're playing Longley still as part of that three man defense. But it's just nothing like the Barca I knew. And they still got some good players in that team. Frankie de Jong is a really good player. I love watching him play. Memphis Depay's done okay in La Liga, and I think in general he's a pretty good player. But then you look outside of that team, like there's no one there that will strike fear into you. Their attack is Martin Braithwaite and is it Luke de Jong? I think Luke de Jong. Like what the hell is that compared to what they had just 2 years ago when they had Coutinho, Suarez, and Messi? So I can't believe their situation, and financially, they're absolutely screwed. I still think they're in hundreds of millions of pounds of debt. They've done well. They did well over the summer to raise some sales. They got 30 million for Emerson, who went to Tottenham. They got 13 million for Junior Firpo, who went to Leeds. They got rid of Griezmann on loan, so that saved a lot of money on wages. They let Miralem Pjanic go to Besiktas. So again, saving more money on wages. So they got a big rebuild, but I can honestly say it's going to be at least 10 years, in my opinion, until they're really back to the Barcelona that we knew. So it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of shipping off the dead wood. It's exactly the same case as Manchester United. It's almost a carbon copy of the English side. The fact when Ole took charge, they had so many players that just were on high salaries but were not contributing to the team. They had players like Chris Smalling, Romelu Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez, so many players like that who were just taking big salaries from the club and just weren't performing for the team. So Barca, however, are in a much worse position. Ole took charge. What was it? 3 years ago now? I think so. Yeah, December 2018 it was. So he hasn't had to do as much of a rebuild as Barcelona will have to do. So it was taking United 3 years just to get back to the position where they can potentially challenge for a Champions League or a title. I wouldn't even say they're a favorite to win either of those competitions. It's taken them 3 years, and it probably will take another year or two, in my opinion, for them to seriously challenge for the league and Champions League. And then so for Barcelona, it could easily be twice as long. There's the players they've got coming through the academy right now. It's it'll take them a long time for them to get to the position that they were again. So that's the roundup of all the teams around Europe, and then let's talk about Liverpool. So a really great game against AC Milan. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just a real classic European tie. It had everything that you wanted from a European match at Anfield. The atmosphere was absolutely brilliant from minute 1 to minute 90. The Kop and the Anfield Road end and Sir Kenny Dalglish stand and the main stand, they were absolutely rocking from minute 1. Having the fans back on European nights is so special for Liverpool. Rio Ferdinand was saying post-match, the fans in that ground, they're basically the 12th man. They give those players so much belief and so much hope and so much energy. It just makes them play like how they did. And we were absolutely incredible from minute 1 to minute 90. And I will talk about those goals in a minute. But the way we started, we came out like a house on fire. I think I remember reading one stat the BT Sport commentator said, in 15 minutes, we had 13 shots on AC Milan's goal. That's just remarkable. You're basically having a shot every minute nearly. So it was a breathtaking start from Liverpool. We deservedly went in front from a Trent Alexander cross, which came as a Fikayo Tomori own goal. Mo Salah missing a penalty. He actually never believed that the day would come, but it has come. He scored his last 17 in a row before that. So the last penalty he missed was 4 years ago against Huddersfield, in the Premier League. So if he were to miss one, I'm glad he missed it in that game. So now he can rebuild again and he'll start over again and he'll probably score again if we get one on the weekend. So he missed the penalty, but he redeemed himself later on in the match. And then the only thing that would concern me though from that period where we were so dominant from the first until the 30th minute, I think the 30th minute is when we started to slow down and when Milan started to get into the game. We just didn't really take our chances as well as we should have, and that's something I think we do need to improve on. So that against Leeds, Mane he got his goal, but it took him 10 attempts to get that goal. In fact, in that game we had 30 shots, which was our most in I think two years or something like that. So so we do need to improve on our finishing and hopefully become more clinical over the next few weeks. Because you can't have that many shots and then hope to score and only score like one or two goals or 3 goals. So definitely need to improve on the finishing aspect. But again, I'm just nitpicking. We played so well, and again with this Liverpool team, as long as we're creating chances, something we really struggled to do over the course of last season, we're going to score goals. It doesn't matter how many shots we take, we're going to score eventually. So the first half an hour, absolutely electric. Deserved to be in front. Should have been more comfortable, but whatever, it happens. And then all of a sudden, Milan came into it and literally sucker punched us. So like how we sucker punched them in 2005, they should have won that final, but we had all the luck. They nearly did it to us in that game. So Ante Rebic scored a really good goal. The actual team got the actual movement from the entire Milan team, the way they passed the ball through the lines and got through and made the angles was really, really impressive. But again, if you're looking at it from a defensive aspect, I do think we could have improved on many occasions during that phase of play. So I think Naby Keita could have been in a better position to stop one of the first passes from going through the line. And then for the equaliser, Joel Matip and Trent Alexander-Arnold, both at fault, in my opinion. I know a lot of people will just pick out Trent and saying it's all his fault. And of course, that suits the narrative for pretty much all football fans, because, they say Trent can't defend and, all that rubbish, even though he clearly can. But again, I will point out that he was at fault for the goal. He was too far up. He should have tucked in, especially as we were tiring. We were definitely tiring towards the end of the half. So we should have just seen it out, controlled the last 15 minutes, and then gone into a break with a 1-0 lead. So poor goal to concede. Good finish by Rebic. Joel Matip as well. He was also too far up in that line. So we saw where Joe Gomez was. He was in the right position, but Joel Matip was pressing, I think, the second man when he should have been alongside Gomez, and he would have been there to stop Rebic from having a clear chance at a goal. And then for the equaliser, I literally don't know what happened there. We kicked off. I think we lost possession, and they literally just went through us. I think Rafael Leao on the left wing. I think he picked the ball up and just went through the heart of our defense. And it was a good ball into Rebic. A very good pass by him. It was a very clever layoff. Robertson did so well to clear it off the line, but then the former Man City man Brahim Diaz just tapping into an empty net to give Milan an undeserved lead at half time. But we rallied. We showed the character that we usually show at Anfield and in general under Jurgen Klopp. We made the perfect start to the second half. Mo Salah getting the equaliser and redeeming his penalty miss, and then pretty much from then it was basically a replica of the first half. In fact, just before Mo Salah got the equaliser, it could have been a lot worse, because I think Simon Kjaer actually had the ball in the back of the net, but luckily it was ruled out for offside. He wasn't actually offside. I've seen several replays of it, and I can't see where any of the Milan players in the box were offside. The place where it came from was when they took the short corner and we pushed up, and then the guy who was by the corner flag passed it back to the original taker. That's where the offside stood. So very fortunate to get away with that. Might be good defending, might be a bit of luck, probably a bit of both. So fortunate to get away with that. Then Salah went up the other end, got the equaliser. And from then we just played the football that we did in the first half an hour, and we controlled it far better in the second half. And then Jordan Henderson channeling his inner Steven Gerrard with an absolute thunderbolt against AC Milan. Is an absolutely stunning strike. I'm still watching it now. I'm watching it like 5 times a day, and I still can't get over the quality of that goal. The way he controlled it as well. So the ball was bouncing up to him, and it's such a difficult technique, scoring a volley or a half volley, and he got over it beautifully, and he struck it so hard, so true. Any keeper in the world wouldn't save that. You could have two keepers in the goal, and they wouldn't save that shot. So an absolutely wonderful moment from the skipper. Absolutely adored this. I love their celebration. Silencing the haters. So for those people who don't rate Henderson, we all Liverpool fans know the quality that he brings to the team. and he showed it in that game with a blinder of a finish. So very, very happy with him. And in terms of other players who performed really well in that match, I want to give a big shout out to Divock Origi. You know, he came in from the cold. That was his first start since January 2021. I remember he played in that game against Burnley, that fateful evening where our home record ended, and it really seemed like that was the end of it. But you know, from what I've been reading on the Athletic, you know, Origi never wanted to leave the club. No offers were received for him, and we were never in a position to say, all right, we want you gone, get out of the club. So if he wants to stay, he's more than welcome to stay. And if he plays like that, then he's got a future at Liverpool. It's just all about showing that consistency every single week. So we all know the quality Origi has. He's got, you know, so much talent in his locker. So it's just all about him showing that on a regular basis. You know, the goals he scored in the year we won the Champions League. You know, the 2 goals against Barcelona, the one against Tottenham in the final, countless goals in the Premier League games. So he's clearly got the quality. It's just all about him showing that on a consistent basis. And given that we're still fairly light up front, you know, we've got Mane, Salah, Jota as our first choice front 3 right now. So him having to be that backup, having to be that extra option off the bench if we need a goal or we need to change something up, we need to rely on him this season. And if he can play like how he did it with AC Milan, then he'll be a great asset for us this season. And you know, the assist he produced was absolutely brilliant. You know, the technique and the vision and the execution to pull that off, to chip it over their defense was really, really good. So hopefully he starts showing that more often this season, and we'll see a Divock Origi from the year we won the Champions League. And then in terms of other players as well, so you know, it's only been four games to the season, 5 in all competitions, including the Champions League match. So we should see more players coming into the team soon, and hopefully we see Ibrahima Konate. You know, the only player we signed in the window, we got him for about 35 or 36 million from RB Leipzig. We're still yet to see him play in the Premier League, so I've been watching him. I think most Liverpool fans have been watching him over pre-season. He's definitely got a lot of qualities on show. He's quick, he's fast, he's strong, he's got you know, a good understanding of the game. So hopefully we'll start to see him soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if he starts tomorrow. In fact, because the way our defense has been over the last year, so with Joel Matip, Joe Gomez, and Virgil van Dijk all coming back from long-term injuries, it wouldn't surprise me if those 2 dropped out and Van Dijk comes back into the team. I think it's almost certain that he will, especially after having that rest in midweek. And then Konate potentially starting alongside him, and I do think that's a very good idea from Klopp for Konate to come alongside, you know, one of the best defenders in the world, to have that experience, to have that leadership next to him. It will help him so much. So I wouldn't say I expect him to start tomorrow, but I do hope, and I do kind of expect him. So I think it's like a 60% chance that he will play tomorrow. And you know, being at home on a 3 p.m. game, you know, it's not televised as well, so there'll be less pressure on him to less pressure from the television cameras. You know, we'll only see him on Match of the Day, or you know, if you're like me, you'll be streaming it on some kind of platform in the afternoon. So it should hopefully bode well for him. And then hopefully in midweek we got Norwich in the Carabao Cup, or the EFL Cup. I don't know what they call it anymore. They change the name it changes like the weather, the name. So hopefully he'll start then, and he'll start on Tuesday. Then you know, he'll have some more minutes under his belt, have more confidence. Maybe midweek we can see him alongside Joe Gomez, because you know, going forward, you know, Van Dijk is now 30, Joel Matip is now 30, and whilst centre backs can play for a long time, they can definitely last into their late 30s. And hopefully that will be the case for both Van Dijk and Joel Matip. But Gomez and Konate certainly looks like the future of our centre back partnership. So again, it'll be a great test for them to start on Tuesday night against Norwich, and hopefully, he has a good debut on Saturday against Palace, Konate, and has a good game on Tuesday against Norwich. And I definitely do expect him to see him starting at least one of those 2 games. So hopefully it bodes well for him, and it bodes well for all of us. And I think that is all of the topics we've got. So yeah, we've talked about Salah's 100th Premier League goal and the new contract, Harvey Elliott's injury, the Leeds win, Origi's return, the Milan win, and Hender's goal. In fact, no, we still got a little bit more to talk about. Let's keep going. So in terms of that, in terms of the defensive side of things, so against Milan, without Van Dijk, you can really see those frailties. So whilst Matip and Joe Gomez have definite quality, like there's no question about that. But the one thing that is in question is their leadership, and that's where Van Dijk is so crucial in that defense. Not only is he one of the best defenders in the world, but he's an absolute leader at the back. He can marshal his defense from back to front, when to push, when to press, or when to drop off and sit deep. So again, it shows the importance of Van Dijk, and why Klopp is so careful with his game time, because there will be far more tougher tests to come. I think we've got Manchester City at the end of the month, or I think in the first week of October. Then we got Atletico Madrid in the group stages in a couple of weeks' time. That will be a very, very tough game, and revenge is needed from what they did to us in 2020. So it's a good thing that Klopp is managing Van Dijk's game time, because he will be needed in the much tougher matches. So yeah, without him, we do have defensive frailties. But when is he not in the team, basically? So providing he can stay fit and we can manage his game time, then he'll be a very, very good addition for a very good player for us for the next 8 or 9 months, however long the season's going to be. And then in terms of the game on Saturday, so Crystal Palace, already briefly mentioned Ibrahim Konate hopefully making his Premier League debut. I do expect some changes, so I'd like to think Diogo Jota and Salah. I think Diogo Jota actually might be rested. I'm almost certain Mo Salah will play. Sadio Mane will definitely play, and possibly you might see like Taki Minamino. He was injured. I think a couple of weeks ago, but he's been in full training now. He was on the bench against Milan, and it wouldn't surprise me if he comes out of the cold and starts against Palace. So hopefully again he performs just as well as Origi did and has a really good game, and again just give us more options from the bench. And then in terms of midfield, so I do expect Fabinho should play again. Henderson will play again, and in fact, it will be his 200th game as Liverpool captain in the Premier League. So a very, very proud moment. He's an absolute Liverpool legend now. So I do expect him to start, and then we might see some other French players come in. So maybe Curtis Jones might be given his first start of the season. I thought he had quite a good cameo role off the bench against Milan. He looked quite sharp, quite fresh, and he looked like he didn't miss any time at all. Oxlade-Chamberlain we might see in the team as well. He's not played that much this season. I think he started the first game against Norwich, and then again off the bench. I think he came off the bench against Leeds and against AC Milan as well. So he had some good moments against Leeds. I think towards the latter stage of the match, and against Milan as well, he had some good moments. So hopefully he might be in the team. And given now we're going to be playing every 3 or 4 days, we're going to need the whole squad. So there's going to be a lot of changing, a lot of rotation, and the whole team will be needed. Hopefully, though, they won't make too many changes, because I do have Sadio Mane in my fantasy team, and he's got a very good record against Crystal Palace. Hopefully, I've not jinxed it. So hopefully he's not out of the team again. And I think that is all of the news with Liverpool over the last week. So lots to talk about. Lots of good things that have happened for the club over the last week, minus the Harvey Elliott injury. So yeah, hopefully he'll be back as soon as possible. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this live stream of the All Things Liverpool podcast. We'll be back again next week, probably later on towards next week. So same time as today. So we'll be recapping what will happen in the Crystal Palace game and against the Norwich game, and then previewing the next Premier League match. So I've been Anish Dogra. I hope you've enjoyed this live stream, and we'll catch you all next week. Goodbye.